Dear students, I want to welcome you once again to this platform, A-Class E-Learning. We shall begin our lesson from where we stopped. We actually stopped at the negativities in the mind, whereby we stopped at oversensitivity. Then the next point that we shall be looking under the negativities in the mind is greed. The word greed means when somebody is wanting everything in life. Somebody wants everything to become his or her own property without thinking of other person. When somebody is thinking that everything in the world should become his own, and when you have this in your mind, the right word for that is greediness. And anyone with this kind of attitude in the mind, it brings about looking down on other people. And one of the repercussions about this is that it will lead someone to taking other people's property or looking for how to amass wealth by all means. That is why sometimes you see people going into fetish things all because of greediness. If such person have something tangible, he will be looking for how that thing can be multiplied in all ramifications. Nothing is wrong in having this and thinking of having more. But when you have something and you are not contented with what you have, and you are now seeking more illegally, that is greediness. And naturally in life, if you want your mind to be at rest without you chasing what you are not up to, it is by looking at those behind you, those who don't have up to what you have. But when you are now looking up to those who have more than you, invariably you'll be thinking of being greedy. And when you are a greedy person, your hand will be, or let me say your fingers will be as very tight as something else. For you to extend any favor to somebody will be very difficult because of the greediness. And a greedy person will always be thinking of his or her own self without thinking of somebody else. If a wife has this attitude, she will be thinking of how to have more than her husband. If a man, being husband, have this attitude, he will also be thinking of how to have more than his wife. So greed is one of the negativities in the mind. Then another one here is exploitation. Exploitation is taking advantage of other people. Exploitation is looking at how you can multiply what you have with you and thinking of how other people can be brought down. Exploitation can be simplified in this manner. When you are selling something and other people are buying from you, you will be thinking of how to get from them without looking at the consequences. So exploitation comes in many forms. Number one, it could be by selling. Number two, it could be by disseminating knowledge, meaning by not giving people the right knowledge as they so desire. Because sometimes you might be thinking, oh, I have this knowledge and I don't want to give it to other people. That means you are exploiting them. Number three is having something and not relating that thing to other people, because either they are not from your tribe, from your region, from your society, from your church, from your mosque, or from your own locality. So when you are doing that, you are exploiting them. And exploitation is one of the problems of the mind. If you have such a mind, it is one of the negativities in the mind. And the other one is called meekness. Meekness is looking at how you can take charge of other people's lives without looking at the consequences. Meaning, you want to be at the top by all means. You want to rule over people by all means, whereby other people will now be servitude to you. Meaning, you want to subject them to under your own territory. They are meant to know something under little time, but because of meekness attitude in you, but you will be thinking of, oh, I will not give them this until this has been done. That is taking charge of other people's life without looking at the consequences. If anybody is having this in mind, that means that person is having one of the negativities of the mind. And anybody who is having this in mind, invariably the person will also be looking down on other people, and also he will be thinking of how to humiliate other fellow, how to bring them down, how to subject them to his own power, how to subject them to his or her own personal whims and caprices. So when you have this in mind, what you are practicing is called meekness. And meekness is one of the problems you have in the mind. And the next one is cynicism. Cynicism is the mindset of being cynical in person, meaning a cynical person is always trying to put other people down, usually out of their need for a sense of priority, which is when other fellow, other human beings, other people, when they are lacking something, and they now find means of getting to you in order to assist them, to uplift them from their problems. Then anybody with a cynicism in mind, that person will be thinking of how to take advantage of that problem from other person. While taking the advantage, which means that he will now subject them to his or her own power. Also, the person will be thinking of, oh, if I will give you this, then you must give me something in return. Meaning, I'm giving you 2 naira, then you must have something to return, in order to replace that 2 naira. It could be by verbal, it could be by service, or it could be this is money, then followed by other illegal action. Then the next one among the negativities in the mind is unworthiness. Unworthiness. Unworthiness, this is the mindset of having self-hatred. Whereas when somebody is having this in mind, it means that the person will have self-hatred for other person. The person will tell you, oh, I hate this person. Why did you hate him? Nothing will be mentioned. It will just tell you, I just hate him for nothing. That is unworthiness. Or somebody has done something great to you. Instead of you to appreciate that person, then what will come in mind is what? How will I appreciate you for what you have done? After all, this is just a little assistance. No matter how small, if somebody has offered you an assistance, small, medium, big or large, you are meant to appreciate that person. For you not to appreciate that person, that is unworthiness. Or in another perspective, somebody might not be up to a task and the person will be lobbying for such task or such job. You know you are not qualified for something, and because of favoritism or because somebody who is very close to you have access to that position, you will now be lobbying. You'll be thinking of how to manipulate yourself into that position. When you are doing that, it is unworthiness. And that is one of the problems of the mind. Invariably, it is one of the negativities in the mind. And another one here is what we call self-pity. Self-pity is the mindset of wallowing in a sense of why me all the time. When you have this in mind, it means that if anything happens to, God forbid, anybody, then the person will now be thinking that, oh, why me all the time? Why should you, or why should I be the one to be given this kind of problem? Why should I be the one to be affected? Why should I be the one to face so cost? Why should I be the one facing this calamity? God forbid that. But when such is coming to your mind, it means you are also nursing one of the negativities in the mind. Whatever happens to anybody, all you need to do is to think ahead, not to think backward. Whatever happened to you, cast that thing aside, then you think about how to solve the problem rather than thinking about why me all the time. When you are not saying why me all the time, what you have in mind is a fuse or a negative approach in the mind. Then another one here is arrogance. Arrogance is coming from the mindset of, oh, I am the best among them. I am the best in the class. I am the best in my family. Oh, I am the best among my peers. I am the best among my colleagues. When you have this in mind, it is one of the negativities in the mind. Because when you are positioning yourself to be the best now, you never think of what could come next from other fellow. Not that there's nothing wrong in you being the best all the time, but it shouldn't be in your mind that you are the best all the time. Because when you have that in mind, you are practicing arrogance. And having that will make you to look down on other people. And such is one of the problems of the mind. And the other one here is what we call jealousy. Jealousy here, it means the mindset of comparing somebody with yourself. When you are now comparing somebody with yourself, that is, you are challenging yourself for something that you are not up to. Jealous is a problem of the mind. Being jealous means that you are looking at somebody and you are now comparing that person to yourself. Mind you, when you are doing that, it will bring yourself or your mind down. And when jealous comes into your mind, it can warrant you to affect your other person, because the person you are being jealous of could be thriving, could be climbing the climax, whereby if the person is now above you in knowledge, you might be thinking of how you can bring this such person down. Either you use something harmful or thinking otherwise. Then the last one among all the negativities in the mind is dullness. Dullness is one of the negativities in the mind. Dullness arises when you develop a feeling of hopelessness towards yourself. You are thinking that, oh, I cannot make it in life. Oh, how can I be up to Mr. A, Mrs. B? Oh, my colleagues are thriving in life while I am behind them. When you are doing this, you are inviting dullness into your life. And dullness is one of the problems in the mind. So when you have this, you are also noticing negativities in the mind. And by God's grace, we shall be looking in our next episode how we can erase or kill all these negativities in the mind. Thank you for your time.